Now, I'm glad, Dr. Rai, that you are an awardee and you have had vast experience having held an important position of Secretary General of IMA. All doctors feel highly anxious of unpredictable rise of situations which threaten them even with their life, Only a person who is in that situation will exactly know the anxiety that he or she is feeling. There have been numerous cases, much more than have been reported probably. And this phenomenon is widespread in all countries, in fact. So I hark back to the oath of Hipparchus, which even though it emanated from a noble mind 2,500 years ago, yet it is something very exhilarating that doctors even take that oath even today up till present times, And we have heard of Dr. Kotnis ki Amar Kahani. So, and even in general public, we find that they often say that when there is emergency to their near and dear ones, they often talk among themselves, and I find, and I've talked to many people, they say doctors represent God. This is a common feeling. Yet all these things are happening. I would like to know, in brief, what would you suggest to be a way forward to solve this, Dr. Rai, to solve this problem, as far as it is feasible to solve?
Thank you, Malik Saab. You have narrated the things in a very nice way.
Thank you.
And as far as the perception of the public is concerned, I do agree. I am also a human being living in the same world where you all and other people are living. But just I would like to only add few words. Once Lord Bernard Shaw has said, the public has lost the faith in the God. Public has lost faith in the God, and it was passed to the doctor. When the person is dying, they go to the doctors. That's why it was called next to doctor. Now the further he says, the public has lost the faith in a doctor also, and it has been passed to the public only. As far as that is concerned, you will agree with me. The most brilliant, I don't want to boast for myself, most brilliant society, highly intelligent persons only go for the medicine and for the engineering. Otherwise, they go in others. Because they are more educated, they are more concerned for the education, they are having the more tolerance also. And once they have been taught right from the day one, they become tolerant always. But here what is happening nowadays, every patient going to the hospital thinks that my patient will be saved. Now I'm in safe hand. Here they forget. Destiny, nobody can change the destiny. And doctor is not there only to give you the life only. Doctor will do whatever best is possible for the patient according to his knowledge and the facilities available. He will do best. No doctor will betray his profession at all, because that is our bread and butter. Now, what is happening in the society, which pains me, I tell you, sometimes I cry. Why? What is happening in the society? A patient, not a patient, a normal person dying on the road. Public says, Bhagwan ki ichha, God wish. A person, normal person dying in the house, God wishes. A person, sick person, dying in the hospital is a medical negligence. How you can say that? Now I give you the example of only recently 10 days back. What has happened in the Odisha? Where 288% they were enjoying the life traveling in a train, all normal persons, somebody going for the party, somebody going for the other function, all of a sudden, an accident happens and more than 288 people are gone. Whose fault was this? Nobody's. Here what we say? Destiny. But nobody has gone and has traced the police, traced the railway department or the politicians or the bureaucrats or the others. But here what is happening, if any mishap happens in the hospital, public is so intolerant, they will never think this way and that way. They will start manhandling the doctors, beating the doctors, demolishing the properties, ransacking the hospitals. Why so? Recently, you only told, only a month back, Vandana Das in Kerala village, very small village, was brutally murdered by a person who was a culprit and was brought by the police, and in front of the police, she was murdered. Just this is one example. Now go 1 year back, Archana Sharma's case. She was tortured, humiliated like anything. She committed a suicide only to save her dignity and some other things. Every day you just take the paper, you will find one or other case is being reported, negligence of a doctor. Sir, there is not at all a negligence of a doctor. We have got medical accidents also. Nobody knows what is going to happen with this patient. And if medical science is so smart or so perfect, Indira Gandhi would never have died. John Kennedy would have not died because they were having all the facilities. They would have saved me. They have saved them, but they died. Here we say the destiny. And you know what is happening due to all these reasons? We doctors have become very much defensive. If a very serious patient comes and they are having 10, 12 persons, relatives are there, we are always under the threat. Here, if something happens, they will not leave me. Such an atmosphere has become, which is very much damaging for the noble profession. I always say one thing, sir. We doctor had taken this profession as a choice, not a compulsion. We have taken this profession as a choice, not as a compulsion. And we are dedicated for the service of the human being. We are committed for the service of the public. We are doing our best for the public. But public should also think. They are also human beings. We doctors community has not come from above. We are from the same society where you all are living. Yes, if there is a negligence, government has put a lot of regulations. You go, you complain about that one. If there is a negligence, doctor will be punished. And even at the association level also, we never say a doctor is supposed to, never supposed to commit any mistake. But what is happening? Nobody bothers to ask the doctor. Nobody sees the reports of the patient. Nobody sees, only they see patient has died and they start beating the doctor, which is very, very bad. And what was happening, you will be also surprised. In today's time, there are more than 30 states. They have passed ordinance, a law against assault on the doctors and medical establishment. Indian Medical Association for last 2 decades is requesting to the government, sir, you pass a central law which should have a provision of a stringent action against the culprits, and they should be immediately booked, should be put behind the bar, where they should not get any bail. But I don't know what are the reasons best known to the government. Central law they are not bringing. We are requesting. During the COVID, government brought that law for the pandemic law. Even we have requested to the government, sir, the same law can be continued for all the time to come, but still the things are not clear. Here, again I'm saying, again I'm telling, whatever best is possible we are doing, we will keep on doing, but society should also think. Here I will say one more example. What is happening if there are 2, 3, 4 goons are there in the society. They had come with a patient and some miss has happened. Even the parents and the relatives of that deceased person are not interested to fight with the doctor. But there is a society, wounds in the society. What they come and instigate to the patient relatives. Bhai, what has happened? It is a negligence of doctor. Don't worry, we will fight. You come with me. We will do this thing. We will do that thing. They will gather 60%, and they will start shouting slogans against the doctor, against the establishment. They will ransack the hospital and see how much mental torture comes to the doctor. Nobody thinks. Here I say, those my friends sitting in the hospital who have come with other relatives, if they get up and they fight with those goons, if what best can be done, they have done. Why the hell you are shouting or why you are ransacking the hospital? Because for their disturbances, 50 patients who are waiting in the queue are also neglected for the services. They might have come from a 50, 100 kilometers distance, but they have to go back. So there are a lot of things. If I start narrating, it will be very difficult. The only thing I will say, society should think of a doctor's community also. We are not a special creature of this one. If we are fault, we are accountable. We are transparent also. We want to be accountable. We never hesitate in that way. But now the thing has become so bad. Any patient coming to my chamber always comes in my mind, this may be a litigant. So once my idea will come as a litigant, my hand will start shaking, whether I should write this thing or not this thing. Now these things have spoiled the working of the hospitals also. Whenever a very serious patient is coming, a small hospital is not ready to take it. They say, tomorrow if something happens, who will go? Who is going to save us? Government is not going to save us. Even the Honorable Supreme Court has given judgment also. If until and unless the negligence has not been proved by a board deputed by the court or by the authorities, no doctor should be arrested at all. Here, that also is not happening. Immediately under the pressure of the local politicians, under the pressure of the goons, under the pressure of the society, the police wala goes and arrests the doctor. Where is the law? Our demand of the central law is not an exceptional. The service which we are doing cannot be compared with any other profession. Here, doctor has to take a decision this way or that way in a fraction of seconds, where my honorable judges take 3 years, 4 years, 8 years to give a judgment. There are some other things where they take years together to find out the drawbacks or loopholes. They are not in the position to give the judgment immediately in 5 minutes or in 10 minutes, where doctors has to give this one. Society should think, if today we are thrashing the doctor, it will be very difficult. They will not be in the position to give the services to us. Only sensitizing the general public at large is the only person they can save. They can save this profession. They can protect the doctors also. And second thing is, government will have to think about a stringent law, a central law against assault on a doctor and medical establishment. Yes, so any action taken by them will always be in their mind that nobody is going to save us.
Yes, I agree to your views mostly. And you would also agree that, and I agree that as you have stressed, that while states have brought in and they are dithering at the very stringent law at the center. Now, point is that law is it goes a certain way, and then also comes in order to support laws is the enforcement. But this problem does not remain confined to this focus. As you have said, the sensitization is the need. I also said at the outset that every hospital should find funds, because of course there is a rush these days. Everyone knows. And people even talk of commercialization of our medical services, which is a far cry from the noble image of medical profession that everyone knows it. So we may not actually even say in so many words. You are, as you said, you are also an individual. And everyone knows the complications that arise from, and then these days, not finding enough time, doctors are often behaving like robots. This is not the area where we have yet to go a long distance, if not long in this fast-paced time. We may turn around the corner and then artificial intelligence and robotics, already they are in operation. But you see, we are humans. And if we want, if I agree that people have to be sensitized, and there are people, difficult people in society, difficult elements, they aggravate things, you know. But I agree with all that. But at the same time, I would wish that because when it comes to a specialization, then we are very particular because we have to learn that specialization. But when it comes to some other things which are also equally important, like how we should conduct in ourselves in that profession, that is slurred over or rushed through. I would like that medical doctors are being formed. They should have that adequate sensitization of doctors. Even they should not lose that personal touch. It is my own experience that doctors are often not that personal. It would help a lot. And if they establish a bond with, it will take a few minutes. It's very easy, but you have to have that skill. And if they are just specializing in their profession, and when it comes to other things which are perhaps being taught, then that is taken as something extra or something, you know. That happens, I know, that happens. So we have to, I would definitely wish that it is also, while it is our experience that people say, it is in contradiction in terms. Sometimes we say that people will not, you see, particularly they will isolate doctors and put blame on them when death occurs of their near and dear ones. But this situation is not that much when traffic accidents and in other areas. Though it's not as simple as that, and we can't wish away certain things. If in modern times people are turning away from spiritual matters, we can not much wish that away. And morality can still be independent of spirituality. You see, morality is not bound with spirituality. Our Vasudha is our Kutum. Our family extends to neighbors and society. And we are all born like Shishu in a very innocent way. Along the way, both the general public and even specialists, they have lost something very essential. So it comes to that point where not only the general public has to be sensitized very, very frequently in all institutions, in educational, right from earlier age, like we used to listen to Subhashitani and all that, you know, but in a genuine sort of way, not to be slurred over, not to be treated as something just to be rushed over, as if we have to just make do with it. And it's not important. It is equally important because it leads to such tragedy. And we are shocked when a doctor is killed, you know. And we are also shocked when negligence takes place. And we are also shocked when all these things happen, So I would suggest, because it's first, of course, the law should be stringent, I agree. Moreover, the punishment, wherever, all are equal before law, and punishment should be quick, which may not be the case. Second is our reversal from our impersonal trends in these days. Let robotics come when it comes. And we will see new problems will arise, and we will see how to keep our personal touch and how to give personal touch even to the robots. If they are going to have our consciousness, then we have to, first of all, develop. We are turning half robots already. I would want doctors to start retracing their steps towards being more humane in terms of the spirit of the words of Hipparchus, which is largely lacking. I agree that, as Bacon said, that when a judge sits on the chair, then he is a different man. There is something impersonal, phenomenal that takes over. And he is likely to be judicious. Similarly, I agree with you. Then when a doctor goes into the OT, operation theater, then, and I have seen a case when a person I was overhearing arguing with the doctor rather unpleasantly. And yet doctor did his best, because doctor will not be affected because he's a professional. But his being professional he's being robotic, which is good. But because they will be in advance of us. If they are robotic, if they are mechanical, if they are specialized, it is a merit. But let it not encroach on our noble feelings, as is the spirit of the oath of Hipparchus. And of course, sports should be given both to the general people by creating more infrastructure. More infrastructure. We often heard that the enormous number of doctors are not there to cater to the needs of the population. Nurses are not there. Other personnel are not there. And added to that, compounding the problem is the commercialization that has been going on for decades now, and it is getting more and more complicated. And we have numerous instances of such things which time constraint will not allow us to go into. But we all know, and you know better, having the inside view. You see, the inside view that you are having should, at the time of offering solutions, you see, as you said, solutions to the authorities at your level as being very important in the IMA, and as an awardee, I'm glad. You should leave aside that cloak, sort of. Then you should, as an individual, try to offer suggestions to the authorities as you are offering, and also to your people in the establishment, wherever, that they should spend money for psychologists, psychiatrists who will specifically be available to establish communication with the people who are harassed by our 40 crore of people are poor, and the economic disparities, anything but shocking. So anyway, those are the complications of the times. No individual can solve them, but we have to go on striving towards a solution. And I consider you having held positions of importance and having been an insider, which gives you a special status, sort of. I would expect from you to be more sympathetic towards the conditions of the people who come for treatment. Also, you should have a holistic view of the problem, so that instead of being something for arguments, we should move even a little step towards a solution. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Uh, I think we should discuss this thing on what is the root cause of these all.
Yeah,
What is
yeah.
the root cause of these incidences? You know, society thinks once they are going to the hospital, they think everything is available over here and my patient will be saved. Here I request to the government also, why the government has not initiated to furnish their hospital fully with a super specialty type where the emergency treatment can be given free of cost, because there are still a lot of people, about more than 70% people are they cannot afford the treatment, and the cost of treatment becomes very high, so that dissent starts coming. That is one of the reasons. Public going to the private hospital wants to pay as the government charges. A public going to the government hospital wants services like a corporate hospital. Those things are very contradictory. So the dissent will start. Now you have given example of the robotic. Robots are doing maximum work, but they are not having any emotions. They are just keeping going. Now see the transformation of a doctor. A very serious patient brought to the hospital, immediately patient is being taken to the ICU. Whole society starts saying, "Ki Dr. Sahab ne to, they are just like a god. They have saved my patient, because patient has been revived in the ICU for 3-4 days, revived." And every time the patient's relatives will say, "Doctor, they are like a god. They have saved my patient. They have saved my patient." And once the patient is brought from the ICU to the general ward, what they started saying, that doctor ne apna duty kiya, doctor has done his duty and they have saved it. A doctor became a god for 3 days. After 4th day, again he became a doctor. And after 7 days, when the bill is given to the patient, the same doctor becomes a dacoit. Here the question starts coming. We forget.
Yeah. In fact, if it were not for the tragedy, if it were not for the tragedy,
that is
if
the
it were not for
problem.
the tragedy, we would find it ridiculous. If it were not for the tragedy,
that's what I'm telling you.
That happened.
And as far as Malik Sahab, as far as you are saying, we should be considered for holistic and charity. I can guarantee you, sitting over in front of you, 90% of doctors' populations are 20 to 30% charity every day they are doing. Which other profession is there which is doing the charity? Tell me.
I see.
In spite of that, no respect is being given to the doctor. Hey, by the way, some mistake was there. You complain about the doctor. You wait for the verdict. You wait for the report. But why you are spoiling the reputation of a doctor in a fraction of seconds? The person who has served the humanity for 40 years, in 5 minutes, his reputation is zero. So here, that's why I say government should take the initiative. They should furnish their hospitals in such a way where emergency patients should go to directly there, where they don't have to pay the money. The conflict will never come. Second thing is, government should subsidize the treatment and other things where it should become affordable. Or second thing, our government has done a very good thing by being a Ayushman Bharat and such thing where poor people are also getting the treatment. Good. That's a good thing. So such things are, if we started, I think a lot of things will go. And third thing is, a stringent law will make the persons to think twice. If I will be caught, there will not be bail for 6 months. I will have to be behind the bar. So he will think twice assaulting a doctor.
I agree with you that the stringency of law and quick disposal of the case with the corresponding punishment, whichever way, is an imperative. And also, as we have discussed, that several factors go into the arising of this very, very shocking scenario. So infrastructure has to be further, despite Ayushman Bharat, which is wonderful. We have to accelerate the pace of, we have to have proper allocations, and by saving on any extravagances in government, spendings, that releases a lot of this. This is also, I think, we hope that they are doing, but there is ever a scope for this kind of fiscal discipline. There is ever a scope, and we should always expect, and that they should always review these things, how they can save out of the enormous, because ours is a large nation, despite all kinds of inequalities, disparities, all kinds of problems. RJS Positive Media has found that in society there is much positive energy also. Much positive energy. We have to utilize that positive energy also. In fact, if pending the coming up of infrastructure, and while awaiting more improvements in the staffing of hospitals, where particularly in such problems, it is not the doctor who is not needed alone, but psychiatrists and psychologists at that particular, when there is a fire, you don't need anybody but the fire brigade. That time you don't look in other direction. Doctor is a specialized person. He has to perform and he will perform, as I said, while referring to Francis Bacon, that when he occupies the chair judge, mostly he will be judicious, because the phenomenon takes over. So I know from personal experience that a doctor, even after having quarreled with someone, I was hovering and I had to stay there in another case. I found he did, and he smiled, and he was very professional in his treatment of the patient, because he will not be, in fact, disturbed unless it comes to danger, And when we have fire, we ask for fire brigade. So these are psychological problems also, and they also emanate from our social, economic, existing conditions also. So it is has to, as we have seen, there are many factors to do with not slurring over things which are as important as other things which are tangible or which directly affect us and take us beyond difficulties. Will have to be considered by the authorities, by India. And I'm glad that IMA is sending personnel to villages. I have heard, and there was an interview by...
This is, on this issue, in 2004, we started, as their government and other public used to say that all the doctors are stationed at the big cities. So the Indian Medical Association started a project, Aao Gaon Chale. Let us go to the village.
We have interviewed.
Let's go to the village.
Interviewed.
Yeah. So what we had...
President of IMA has been interviewed by Mr. Manna.
Yeah. So that's what I'm giving a brief of that one. So we requested over all the 1700 branches, at least you adopt one village. And in one village, every month, once or twice, go and screen the public, educate them about the sanitation, educate about the vaccination, educate them about other things also, infectious disease, and find out if there is some serious patient, bring them to the city, get admitted in the hospital, get them operated. Yes, so we are already doing this service for last so many years. We are doing, and that's what I told you. We have taken this profession as a choice, not a compulsion. We are dedicated for the health of the nation.
That I agree. It is not a profession that one is thrust into.
Never.
It is voluntarily accepted out of curiosity and out of passion for certain area of life. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for such a very even though the dark aspect of life is concerned, but I think we have tried to throw light upon various elements that go into it. It's definitely not easy. And I hope that this conversation takes it a step towards positive direction. And this is the vision of RJS Positive Media also.
Malik Sahab, that's what we are considering on that. Here, one more dilemma is, what is the dilemma with the medical profession now? If doctor posted in the hospital in the emergency ward is there to save the patient, is it? You agree with me? But what has happened? The history is getting repeated as what was happening. Army was posted in Kashmir to save the general public. Army was posted in Kashmir to save the general public, and a time came when the army has to protect themselves from the public. So here also, a doctor posted in emergency has to protect himself first.
You are drawing the parallel. I appreciate. Although again, there is so much complication. So
I know. In a lighter way, I'm telling.
If we agree at the start that because if we want to solve, if we want to take a journey, then we will have to consider how arduous is the journey. If we want to hope to solve a complicated problem, we have to know the degree of complications. I think in our brief discussions, we have considered the entangled elements. All will have to be given attention to. And such a discussion should be frequent in society.
Very right.
It will spread the message also. It will spread the message in general public. And people, instead of gossiping, should talk about these things in resident societies, you know. Instead of gossiping infructuously about many things, the time has come that we have to convert our country into a knowledge society. We should not waste our time in gossip. Our time of life is very brief. Our RWS should frequently talk about it. People should go for a walk and talk about these aspects rather than simply infructuously gossiping about things which lead nowhere. Thank you very much, Dr. Rai.
Malik Sahab, just one word only I will say. The one word only, we are so much concerned in spite of all the odds we are witnessing every day in the hospital, how the doctor community has given their service during the pandemic. More than 2,000 doctors have sacrificed their life, and young doctors have gone, leaving their aged persons. We have never shirked from our own duties, duties are assigned to us. So what I'm telling only, a request to the public, a request to the government, think about the doctor community, give them a foolproof and safe zone in the hospital where there should be no halla gulla, and doctor can deliver very good results and save the community. My intention was this all.
Good message, and we have covered all aspects where general public, what they expect and what doctors expect. We have had a balanced discussion. Thank you, Dr. Rai.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.